you said you wanted one too, sis?
Yeah, but I had this time, but I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
But you just have to accept it.
All right.
Give me, what's your phone number?
301-613.
PayPal just accepted my national ID card. They asked for not saying changing, but I ain't doing that ID. I see the national ID card.
Proof.
No, okay. All right.
I didn't know like they some of these drive licenses. I said, well, let me get that little $50 out of there.
Appreciate you. I got one more if anybody want one.
These Moors.
And that don't mean I can't make copies.
Right.
So
Give it to the sister.
and I can send it to you. Use the phone number on the flyer. Okay. What's good with you, man? Ron, man. All right, what's your name? Corbin. Corbin? Yeah. All right, peace. I'm not gonna remember your name. But yeah, I can make copies. There you go. For you as well. So on the flyer, just hit my number or the email. You feel me? Let me know. I can get that joint to you in the so-called carrier. Whatnot, it's gonna be good. But yeah, use the phone number on that. You good? You got it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send this.
Islam,
Moors. Let's rise. Give our honors.
Islam.
Father on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe. Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Moors. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the prophet, will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you would be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Islam, Moors. So we're here. You have anything before we start?
Damn.
I know. I just had to throw you in the fire.
Nah, man, not right now. But
All right.
We can do that when we're closing out.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Peace and welcome. We're here for our Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, Justice Tour, Maryland edition. The last session that we were supposed to do near Virginia that got canceled because of the vax or whatever. We did that online, and we dealt with the peace principle. One of the things that I was supposed to do for that, the book didn't come. The book came after the thing, so we want to get the rest of that in, and then there's some other things relative to the peace principle that we're going to touch on today. But to start, we want to read, since we're near Washington, D.C., we wanted to read this speech of His Excellency Mati Jorio, Ambassador of Morocco, at the Moorish Centennial Celebration honoring Noble Drew Ali, January 11th, 1986, the Howard Inn, Washington, D.C. It is a privilege for me and for the other staff members of the Embassy of Morocco to attend this, the Noble Drew Ali Centennial Tribute Dinner. Please let me take this opportunity to express to you our collective appreciation for your kind invitation and my personal appreciation for having been chosen to receive the Ambassador of the Faith Award. I am greatly honored. It is also a pleasure for us to be in the company of such distinguished guests as those here tonight, and to be taking part in such a joyous celebration. We are happy to bring you all greetings from His Majesty King Hassan II and the people of Morocco. By now, I have been made well aware of your devotion to strengthening the ties linking the Moorish American community to Morocco. Morocco, for its part, welcomes your interests and your work for a better understanding between us. I would like you to know that your efforts have not gone unnoticed.
Please, can you hear me?
Your initiative is to be both respected
Can you hear me?
and encouraged. As to us, we in turn have every intention of doing all possible to make our friendship a vibrant and special one. But for that goal to be met, we must also look to the future. We cannot limit ourselves to considering just the historical aspects of our relationship, thereby believing that good relations between us are a matter of fate. Rather, we should understand our cooperation to be a living entity, able to grow and open the future. It is here that we can begin to recognize the importance of our children's role. Whatever advances we make, it is our children who will have to follow through. Morocco is awaiting your proposals. We are pleased and proud to have the Moorish community as one of the bridges between Morocco and the United States, as a new voice in the network of our long-standing relationship. Thank you, courtesy of the Embassy of the Kingdom of Morocco. Text of the speech by Moroccan ambassador at Noble Drew Ali Centennial Celebration, 1986. Right, so the Moorish paradigm, the idea of us being Moors and knowing our nationality and knowing what our flag is and our culture is known by even those people who say that they're Moroccans today. Even they know, without a doubt, because they went to the Drew Ali stuff and they ain't talking about sovereign citizens and all that. You know, they're respecting the position that Moors took in 1986. DC is right over there. And they had a dignitary of another kingdom at the Noble Drew Ali celebration, which, you know, and like me and the Moor were talking about last night, like with the proclamations, all these proclamations coming on, people still guessing and wondering what this is about or whatever the case is. So we're realizing more and more this is really for those who are it. And this is really for those who know that they're Moors, know that their nationality, know who their prophet is, and this is who it's for. The outskirts people, this is only for them to look at and, you know, comment and give their opinion and whatever. But the people who are involved with it are the ones who this is actually for, because it's only gonna manifest something through those individuals. Like we're saying that went to Houston, ATL, and wherever we go, it's the same thing. There's Moors there. They know what they're about, but it just never happened that they connected before, you know. So peace, right? So we're at the place of recognizing that once you're involved with it, you have an obligation to do something with this info, whatever it is that you choose to do with it. You know what I mean? But it has to be something that is known to the Moors, that we're not, you know, doing some stuff in vain. Like this is a real thing that we have going on, you know, and it's only gonna go where we take it. That's the only way it's gonna be anything, right? There's a few reference points before we go to the laws of peace, just to look at the importance of that principle, and Noble Drew Ali telling us to live by these principles. As we know with our history, as you know, coming into this information that we're Moors and that we have a nationality, there's a lot of information we're gonna be bumping into, and a lot of the information has been used to pump somebody else up and not give us the due respect that we need, you know, so it could be something for people to gravitate to, right? You know, like we're saying, the individuals who are part of this is not something they're gravitated to. Like, you were this, some past life or whatever like that, you were this already. You're just in this existence now, right? But when we go back into the history, we see that there was a lot of the opposite of peace when Moors weren't around. when the high cultured individuals who are the last example of culture and society and whatever like that, us, when that left place went into darkness again, when they removed the Moors, place went into darkness again. We have this is Irony by Theophilus Nicholson. Irony. And there's a few pages in this that, and also too this is there's open forum, so if anything hits you or whatever like that, just get it out, right? Don't keep anything. Any questions, feel free to bring up whatever questions come to mind. So this is page 48. In Dr. Ivan van Sertima's book, The Golden Age of the Moors, he wrote about the debt Europe owes to the Moors and the significant contributions of the African Muslim on the Iberian Peninsula and to the Renaissance in European society. This is well researched and can be found in libraries, books, and on the internet. When the Moors entered Spain in 711, they did not arrive as destroyers, but instead came as consensus builders. The Jews and the Moors worked together. In some instances, the Jews were viewed as collaborators with the Muslims. In Moorish Spain, thousands of Jews and Christians lived in peace. The Moors have been carried into Spain. Some of the lessons learned from Rome's occupation in North Africa, 100 AD. So thousands of Jews and Christians lived in peace under Muslim rule. So peace is something that Moors do. Peace is something that once there's Moors, peace is going to be there. It's like a etheric connection to this thing that once we're living at a certain frequency, a certain vibration, this thing is going to be there, called peace. Now we go back to Noble Drew Ali with the what is Islam, like that, because you can see that where he's leading us to is the same place where the Buddhists leading ever to, and the Zen people lead you to, and whatever the occult New Age, all of it's leading to being in balance, right? What is Islam? Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties toward God Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of a man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything, peace with Allah, and peace with man. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. The Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali says that the follower of Islam, in the true sense of the word, is one whose hands, tongue, and thoughts don't hurt others. Object of man's life, according to Islam, is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man was born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make or mar his fortune. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah. We believe in one God, Allah, who is all God, all mercy, and all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his great attributes so far as we can understand. He is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us insofar as we see his attributes working for us and in us, but he is nevertheless impersonal because he is infinite. perfect. It's all good. He is personal to us insofar as we see his attributes working for us and in us, but he is nevertheless impersonal because he is infinite, perfect, and holy. We do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtake him, nor do we believe that he is a helpless, inactive, and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are the trails of a frail and weak humanity. This unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs upon it. So the very name Islam means peace. And the goal of man's life, according to Islam, peace with everything, peace with Allah, peace with man, peace with everything. Once you're there, once you're in that place of being at peace with everything, then you can see other things working. And then you just go down the principles. Then truth with everything. Then love with everything. And freedom with everything. And justice for when it's rightfully due. And then everything would start falling into place. Right? It's like the Rubik's Cube people with the 3 seconds. Right? Because there's a pattern. Once you know the pattern, then you just repetition of practicing that pattern over and over and over and over and over again until you do the stuff in 3 seconds. Right? Peace with the Rubik's Cube. Right? That it's that easy. Right? Islam.
The challenge called that we must find peace within ourselves first.
Peace anywhere else.
Anywhere else.
Yep. And it's a lot because there's so much things that are presented to keep us at an imbalance. To keep us not in line with peace. All right, let's just check that quick fast. Metaphysical meaning of peace. Peace, harmony, and tranquility derive from awareness of the Christ consciousness. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. John 14:27. Steadfast affirmations of peace will harmonize the whole body structure and open the way to attainment of health conditions in mind and body. Until world peace is based on the divine law of love, and this law incorporated into the pact of peace as well as into the minds of those who signed the pact, there will be no permanent peace. All right? Until, and this is why, again, going back to Drew Ali and him saying, once these principles are applied across the world, then everything will be good. Right? Until world peace is based on divine law, on the divine law of love, going back again to the first principle, and this law incorporated into the pact of peace as well as into the minds of those who signed the pact. So the pact would be the covenant that, protect your brother and sister. The pact will be, we're not Negro, black, colored, we're Moors. The pact will be, learn to love instead of hate. The pact will be anything that is going to keep us in proper character, keep us in righteousness, keep us doing what Allah wills through man, not what, the lower self wills. Right? Deriving from the awareness of the Christ consciousness. Right, peace. And does that come up as one? No. Right, Christ consciousness. See peacemaker. Metaphysical meaning of peacemaker. Peacemaker, one who has the ability to say peace to the turbulent waves of thought and have them obey. A peacemaker is one who reduces to peace and harmony all the thoughts of strife, anger, and retaliation in his own mind. The ability to say peace to thoughts and have them obey entitles man to sonship of the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And then they keep telling people about there's only one of those. And if everybody realizes that they're a son of God, then that'll bring peace.
It must have been on the Sons of Law page.
No, it's not.
Right? The ability to say peace to thoughts, right? That's the first thing. More see each other. Islam, you know, every time black guys see the peace brother and all that, same thing, right? Reducing to peace and harmony all thoughts of strife, anger, and retaliation in his own mind, right? Conquering those thoughts, strife thoughts, anger thoughts, retaliation thoughts. Eliminating those thoughts would bring you to peace. And these are like little stuff that you could do. The same thing that they say, not giving whatever your energy, because you know if it's negative and then you give it, right? But applying that to every situation, every interaction, whatever like that, so that you can maintain this harmony, maintain this frequency, that one on the outside in is impenetrable, and then from the inside out is protection, right? Because you're once you're a peacemaker, is just like when Phil Valentine was talking about being a transcender, a transcender, or being but a transcender, right? Being a peacemaker, right? Not a peace taker, right? Somebody who allows peace to manifest. Somebody who can, you know, somebody who has the ability to say peace to the turbulent waves of thought and have them obey. You had something there?
I was supposed to be looking at peace, and I got distracted, bro.
Say peace to distraction.
Yeah, man. You know?
While looking for that, I just put this out. This is again irony, page 55. Right, again going back to the opposite of the negative. In another of James Burke's works titled Connections, he describes how the Moors thawed out Europe from the Dark Ages, but the event that must have done more for the intellectual and scientific revival of Europe was the fall of Toledo in Spain to the Christians in 1105. In Toledo, the Arabs had huge libraries containing the lost to Christian Europe works of the Greeks, Romans, along with Arab philosophies and mathematics. The Spanish libraries were opened, revealing a store of classics and Arab works that staggered Christian Europeans. The intellectual plunder of Toledo brought the scholars of Northern Europe like moths to a candle. The Christians set up a giant translating program in Toledo. Using the Jews as interpreters, they translated the Arabic books into Latin. Latin was the language spoken by the learned people at the time. These books included most of the major works of Greek science and philosophy, along with many original Arab works of scholarship. The intellectual community, which the northern scholars found in Spain, was so far superior to that which they had at home that it left a lasting jealousy of Arab culture, which was to color Western opinions for centuries. And so there's jealousy that people have when it comes to the Moors. Whatever the culture is, right? I was telling them more about when I first came into this info, and I was wearing the fez one day, and this lady, the one lady's from the continent, just grabbed her child, ran in the corner, started crying. Right? So talking to her, she was from the Congo, and the fez and her is only the cutting off the hands and whatever like that. So had to convince her that no, it's not. It's not those ones. Well, I'm not those guys. That's a whole different thing, right? So there's been and then what's the book called again? Some CIA tactics book or something was talking about how them and Leopold setting that up. Secret Wars of the CIA or whatever. Yeah. They're talking about the Congo. Yeah. They're talking about the Congo situation in the book and how part of the propaganda was make sure that they have them in their fezzes and have them looking a certain way doing these atrocities so that it's not looked at as the people who colonized and have these people working for them. They look like, oh yeah, it's their brother that did it. No, that wasn't their brother. That was a traitor that did that. Right? Any comments or questions before we move on?
Yeah, it's in my experience in coming into the knowledge of speaking on that. I mean, it's bad enough. We have to learn to understand the knowledge, the definitions and things like that, the etymons and the word history.
Yeah.
But like you said, who is the traitor and how are we, that's what I question at times, and that's why I'm glad you often doing the tour.
Yeah.
Not be around such things.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Moors and they telling me I'm trying to converse about at least study some prophets and something, and they talking about coins and stuff. And
yeah.
I'm like, let's get off the Super Mario stuff.
Yeah. Straight. Yeah. But and it's only through doing things like this, what I mean, traveling to go be with other Moors that you're gonna know who Moors are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not really gonna know unless you're around Moors. Yeah.
I was like with this group of Moors trying to study. I'm like, yo, I'll do work for y'all for free.
Yeah.
Don't ask me for no fiat.
Yeah.
Teach me to do something. And they was trying to say they wanted some knowledge from you on this, but I ain't got to sign up for nothing on the internet for you to do it. And when I ask for certain things, you talk about finance, we ain't doing it in trust.
Yeah.
We don't have, what we're going to get out of it.
Right.
And I ain't even say that. You ain't even tell me what you getting out of it. So that's how or at least y'all just don't know what y'all doing.
Right.
And that's why I gotta, get
yeah. And then that could be not any fault of their own. It could be them learn from some goof over there. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Because once you get got, you're either gonna go get somebody else or you're putting this thing down. You know what I mean? And when you realize that, damn, I can get somebody for $3,000 or whatever, some papers, some people are gonna, they're gonna jump on that as the thing to do as a Moor. You know what I mean? Like they're actually justifying it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, $800 for phone call, half an hour. Justifying it. Servants are worthy of their hire and all this. They're not even worthy. Right? Well, you found the piece in there?
Yeah, remember I was sharing with you yesterday about the word Levite, and I looked up priesthood first, and then it bores you to a host of Levites, and So for me, my comprehension is telling me that it's all based on your state of mind and your thought. You know what I mean? And when you're doing yourself a good service of raising your state of mind, you actually don't see all of that turmoil that you literally most time are living through.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why one of the favorite things I like to say is the priesthood of bed. That's because of the red book. And that joint they're talking about how, you know what I'm saying, the priest done seen his shadow when and then they done gone mad because they only good for funeral chants. Only good for, you know what I'm saying, other madness that's gonna keep in a low state of mind or working in the lower self. You know what I'm saying? So and then on the onus of the peace of what brother's talking about, and then if you tie that with your so the definition for Levite here, Levites, says Hebrew of or belonging to Levi. So the metaphysical for Levite, and then I'll double back to the actual original definition.
Mm.
The descendants of Levi represent thoughts that spring from and belong to the love faculty in individuals' consciousness. As ministers and priests in the temple and in the temple worship, they signify our natural religious tendencies, not necessarily spiritual. And so if you're navigating from that love principle, then you know what I'm saying, it's easy for you to find yourself in peace and find yourself at peace because you're loving those things. You're loving the experiences that you're having around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's all I wanted to share from now. It's not.
Any other thoughts or questions, comments? So I'm back to irony, page 72. To the monarchs, the Pope declared, "We of our own motion, and not at your solicitation, do give, concede, and assign forever to you and your successors all the islands, the mainlands discovered, and which they hereafter be discovered towards the west and south, whether they be situated towards India or toward any other part whatsoever, and give you absolute power in them." This decree did not go unchallenged. Francis I of France, for example, later quipped, "The sun shines on me as well as on others. I should be very happy to see the clause in Adam's will which excluded me from my share when the world was being divided." Nonetheless, the Pope's declaration ultimately had dire consequences for native inhabitants of the Americas. Peace, Morris. Peace, love.
Peace.
Nonetheless, the Pope's declaration ultimately had dire consequences for native inhabitants of the Americas. Beginning in 1514, Spanish conquerors adopted the requirement, an ultimatum, in which Indians were forced to accept the church as the ruler and superior of the whole world, or face persecution. If Indians did not ultimately comply, the requirement warned them, "We shall take you and your wives and your children, and shall make slaves of them, and as such shall sell and dispose of them as their highnesses may command. And we shall take away your goods, and shall do all the harm and damage that we can." That's 1500s. So it's 1500s, they're taking Indians and making them slaves. Then what do they need to bring people from somewhere else for if they could just get them here?
They did.
And which is exactly what they did. Right? Exactly what they did. When we look at the historical behavior of the Anglo-Saxon toward other races of people he encountered in the New World, it is difficult to avoid a conclusion that his attitude was one of aggression. His desire was to dominate and to regulate them to a subhuman status and treat them as criminals. What other conclusion can we deduce from Christopher Columbus' reaction to the inhabitants of Hispaniola as they came bearing gifts to nourish these strangers after their long voyage? Columbus instead chose that moment to conclude that these people were to be enslaved. What is it that compels these so-called messengers of the Christ gospel to treat other races of people like common and convicted criminals? Spanish Atrocities, page 81. Columbus viewed the Taino themselves as a way for him to amass personal wealth. He selected 500 to be exported to Spain as slaves, and 500 to serve as slaves to the Spanish on the island. Columbus proudly boasted to the Spanish monarchs about the slave potential and its economic benefits. Columbus captured and exported more Indian slaves, about 5,000, than any other single individual. In addition to capturing the Indians for enslavement, the Spanish also hunted them for sport and slaughtered them for dog food. The Spanish also viewed Taino women as their sex slaves. The Christians made bets on whom amongst them could open up bowels, cut off the head in one blow, or slit a man in two. They used horses, swords, and lances to practice strange cruelty against men, women, and children. Sound familiar? There's some black stories that they used to tell people, slave stories. It mattered not the age nor condition of the subject. Pregnant women or women in child labor were killed in a manner befitting wild animals. Babies were taken from their mothers and their heads smashed against rocks. Babies and their mothers were spitting together with swords of men who took great pride in these dastardly deeds. Gallows were made just high enough so the feet would not touch the ground, and the Indians hung in numbers of 13, a symbolic honor to Christ and his 12 apostles. Las Casas made clear to us and the people in authority the character of the European, this Anglo-Saxon man, a man whose love for gold overrides the instinct of a compassionate human animal, a man who seems to make dastardly delight in opening the gates of hell on the citizens of the towns and villages of most of the world, a situation that has continued forever, 400 years, and has led to the destruction of millions of victims. Right, that's where they're coming from. That's their mindset, even today. And it's not some talking negative against them or whatever like that, because we know we made them how they are. So it's not against them. It's realizing that Drew Ali telling us that we have these principles and living by these principles is what's going to change everything around. And then it automatically starts with us, because if this is what they're doing, like right now, there's humans in the burgers right now. Yeah, right now. Right? There's cows that you think are adult when they're calf still on steroids, and you think that that's an adult cow when that's steroids that you're eating. And then you see all these people talk about all these people's children are 6 feet, can't find shoes, 15-foot shoe and all this, right? Because the steroids in the crap that they're eating. Now them growing faster than they're supposed to. And then they eat you out of house and everything else. Right?
Yeah, they got the new show, the kid on Amazon, he's supposed to be extra big.
Yeah.
Some school. Since you're talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Trying every week mine. Yeah. And also too, talking about the atrocities too. I don't know if it's a not enough convo about it, like in our community or whatever. But the thing with the anti-gender thing going on right now is very crazy. I got a book, some book or something like that. Somebody was telling me about in elementary school and showing them how to give head and all this, and like a gay book.
Wow.
Like a gay book, like showing pictures of guys on their knees and stuff like that. The drawings, cartoons or whatever. Elementary.
Yeah, some kid was talking to the community board about that. I saw it on social media.
Mm.
One of the elders, my children, he was saying, yeah, I was violent. They do that?
They do that. Like,
when I was coming up to school, you couldn't bring nothing regular in there.
Yeah,
Girls
yeah.
in there, you could call it, after school. Now
Yeah.
they letting this,
yeah. So I just wanted to open the floor on that for a few minutes. Because
So we really have to look deeper into why all of this stuff is being released at a certain time.
Mhm.
So we go. You spoke of when the peace will come. So until that peace comes, there's always going to be an adversary to that peace.
Yeah.
Right. So this is why if you are teaching right and exact, which you are, you're going to have somebody that's going to be on the lower self thinking.
Yeah.
So somewhere in the middle has to be cleaned out.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's on.
Islam.
Islam.
Always have that.
They're never late. You're always on time. Better late than never. Better than the ones who wouldn't make it. Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Maybe I'm at the lower self state right now.
Mhm.
Because I'm new to this.
Right.
But if these things are being shown to little children in schools, in the meantime, shouldn't parents be saying no?
Yeah.
And pulling the kids from school and say, we're not having it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if
Well, but see, part of the issue is that, they have it set up where in order for the parent to pull the child out of school, then the parent can't work. The parent can't work.
But if every parent does this, then everybody's not gonna be able to work then.
Yeah.
But, because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Because we're supposed to have our own school.
That part.
We're supposed to have our own schools. When I was in high school, where we live at, there was Afrocentric schools. And now there's zero.
charter school.
Yeah, like there were independent schools that guy in the community said, I'm going to use my house as the school. And everybody in the community said, all right. And there were schools where from 1 to whatever, kindergarten or something like that, there was some going up to even junior high school. And then they just make the transition from there into whether they go high school, college, or whatever after, and they were fine. So the things that we're seeing today aren't just happening because of right now. They're doing this right now. This is things that have been in motion, that we're now awake. That now they got elementary school teaching sex ed.
But not that we're obedient. communities and parents making adjustments and say, okay, well, one of us can't work.
Yeah,
because-
yeah.
Or having teachers who are trained to teach our children in the communities in the meantime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So there are accommodations made so that the community is comfortable with their kids learning as they should learn.
Right.
As opposed to being exposed to the school.
So it's madness, yeah.
You know, so,
I just wanted to camelback off what you said. So it's imperative, number one, that parents are made aware. So the culture of the parent's mindset, no matter what the economic situation is and what school they're going to, is the most important thing.
Right.
The secondary issue would be competent and who has the ability to be qualified to teach. Now, we noticed during the pandemic when everybody was home, it wasn't as easy as people thought it was. So it's also vacation and having that spirit of like, is this something that I'm, know thyself kind of thing. So number one is the mindset of the parents. Number two is the vacation of, can I do this? And who could I go to that will be supportive of me knowing how to do this? And then the third thing is financially, it's very hard for people that are making, very decent finance in two parent households.
Yeah.
Because of, I had a dinner last night with a friend, her and her husband, they make a decent amount of finance, but their taxes is killing them. So they're making 80, 90,000, but 35% of that is gone.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the protocol of what this looks like, and I think for Moors, when we look at this, it does seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to come at it in every way. You have one or two Moors randomly from who knows where, that they got the solution, come to my class, spend the $2,000, and then you'll get it. And you're not gonna get it. So it's, and I think that one of the things that Cujo said earlier was, and I think the brother had said it earlier, when you are able to fellowship with other Moors, you start to get a vibe. You start to be able to kind of just have discernment. And you're able to, okay, so you know what? I don't need to pay for this. I just gotta use time.
Yeah.
So time is the most important thing that we have, and then that's the connection with other Moors. So you know what? Okay, this sister does this, this brother does that. So it's gonna take some time. So we're saying generations. We're gonna have to be thinking maybe 3 generations ahead of us. I know that's it's kind of disappointing for some of you, but it's gonna take time to be able to have the qualitative social people to come together to create institutions.
Yeah.
so is it worth it then for kids to be exposed to porn, just learn ABC, 1, 2, 3, and history and all of that? Rather than pull them out of the school and say, I'm not exposing them
Right,
regardless.
exactly.
Is it worth it to say, because if they're getting education, but they're being exposed to porn, what's the point?
Well, the other side of it too is that when you look at other nations, their children are on honor roll and all that stuff, and they don't even care because they're going in there for what they're going in there for, and they're not going into over here to see this or go. If it's not Asian History Month, they're not involved. If it's not student activity council or whatever like that, they're not involved. If it's not homework program, they're not involved.
No honors program. Not involved.
So I guess to answer her question, so you just had to create a PTO and get people on PTO and get on the school board and then change whatever the exposure is for sex ed or whatever they're doing. You just politically have to get your parents together,
Right.
get on the parent-teacher organization at your school, your PTA, and then you have to petition the school board to change the
To
curriculum.
change it.
That's what you have to do.
Okay.
Because ultimately it's their school board, so they could teach whatever they want to teach.
It's whose school board?
The system.
The municipality.
It's the system school board. It's just like it's the system's police. So if you're calling them, don't get mad if they beat your ass, because that's how they do. So if you're gonna call them, know that they might make you the criminal, and now you got more issues to deal with just because you called them under the guise of, oh yeah, they're the guys to call. Just like with the school thing. Putting their children in there knowing that this madness is going on, or having their children in there and knowing this madness is going on and not doing anything about it, not part of the PTO, not part of anything. They just, we'll let the system deal with it. How they've been dealing with it hasn't been in our best interest,
But it also takes research. Like, I know people who homeschool their children, and there are homeschool groups, where parents are very active in their children's lives, and there are many children in these groups, like almost the same amount as some
like a school.
classrooms in smaller schools, where it's just a few hours of meeting up with that group, and then your child can get their learning for a day, because in these public schools, like, it's not like they're just constantly learning like all these hours. They be coloring and running around, and then they having lunch and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't take it takes like a couple hours to really teach them like the lessons that they need to learn for that day. Yeah. And people are doing it. Is my point. Like, people are doing it, but obviously it takes research, it takes time, and it takes it being a priority in the parents' life for to make it happen for the children.
And forgive me, I don't have any kids, but as I've seen from my experience growing up, children.
Doesn't matter. Words matter.
They have a curriculum to make us employees.
Yeah.
And the real question is, as we come out into knowledge, what curriculum do you have for your child? Because again, I became an employee. Now, as I'm coming into the knowledge of more science, all right, new business means I don't want to be their employee, be their slave, what to do. Carpentry, plumbing, something like that, hands-on, but an entrepreneur, and then gearing our youth instead of just learning them that, but how to apply it. Because what I do, and what I do is my situation, I don't know how to apply that to everybody, because again, that's more fiat based.
Right.
So again, I don't, if you're trying to play that game, we can talk, but again, being a Moor, you don't really talk that game. So
right.
It's how do you translate, but you still have to, and again, with the sharing of information, what's the curriculum for us as Moors? The Grand Sheikh has books. I'm going to definitely get some study material from Ron and more here, and then just putting that together for our each individual situation. Yeah. What do you want your child to be? What kind of Moor? Because again, anything else when you send them there, that's just the employee business. Right. Right. And we got to get out of that. So that's the first thing. Any ideas for infrastructure? Dr. Claude Anderson, and Umar Johnson. I went to see him. Yeah. He was a good talker. I ain't hear nothing about, all right, show me the curriculum. Show me what trust you got. And again, he seemed more like a preacher when I saw him. Than somebody with, really going
a solution.
But I'm still looking to see. I only saw him once, and you can't get a social media can't tell you nothing. Yeah. He always asks for fiat.
Always.
But he's getting it.
and he's getting
He's
it.
getting it. How many years later? 10, 15 years later?
And give people off the fake account, somebody putting up for him and taking some of his money, obviously, I guess, or the school's money. I don't know.
But those are the dynamics.
The learning institution is important for us. Not just for the children, but for the adults.
For real. That's why part of the messaging as far as the learning for the Moors was RV Bay Publications being the online university that anybody can go to. You know what I mean? If you're willing to, just like get your master's, put in your hours or whatever like that, then you'll leave there competent.
I thought it was just there's actually a schooling thing.
The going to the site is the school.
Oh, okay.
That is the learning.
Classes and you'll have tests. I saw the do yourself test, but who you had.
Right.
Grading in there.
Yeah, you're grading. Yeah, you're grading your test.
That's
right. That's what
that's battle right there.
That's what it's there for, like that.
I give you a movie reference. You got a Bruce Leroy this.
Yeah.
You got to realize you're master.
Exactly. But that's everybody's individual walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For some man, it might be 10 hours and they get it. Some people got to go through the 50,000. You know, some people have to go through the trials and tribulations, and oh my God, being a Moor is so stressful, and oh, nobody likes me, and all this. And then other Moors, it's like it's a cakewalk. Other Moors, it's easy. You know? Yeah. Yeah. You know? And so that was the Spanish atrocities. So this is the Christian atrocities. Old and New Testament scriptures have often been misinterpreted by Christians and caused the Christian religion to become a warmongering imperialistic religion whose followers believed that they were instructed by God to invade the homelands of non-Christian people. They have taken possession of lands, resources, and annihilated many of the indigenous inhabitants. They have exploited and subjugated the remaining innocent indigenous peoples. The indigenous people of the Americas, Australia, and New Zealand have tragically witnessed what Christians have done. Therein lies the essence of irony. In The Real Murders, Atheism or Christianity, writer Greg Koukl wrote that we may see inconsistencies in people's faiths when we attempt to distinguish between what a group or individual do and what the code they claim to follow actually represents. He also stated that we should object to people who attempt to spread religion through violence and mayhem when it is clearly contrary to the actual teachings of their religion. It is also noteworthy that we do not respond in knee-jerk fashion to someone's claim of religious motivation after he commits acts of barbarism or other infractions against others. So all that's been going on, remember we're talking about 1500s going on, is this interaction with these individuals who they're on the barbaric side of societal building. Come in, murder whoever, take their stuff, and hopefully nobody says anything in a few years, and we'll just get away with doing everything that we did. Now that we're coming into this information, we have to now prepare ourselves not to be barbaric like them, finding out all the madness that these people did as we're doing this research. And and then you see people going out and doing their go shoot up something because they found out some madness. They found out Fauci lied. They're gonna murder everybody. Right? The idea of this revolutionary way of dealing with these issues.
Right.
It ultimately starts with the younger generations and showing them so that when they get to where we're at, their stuff is a little bit better than ours, right? But with where we're at, recognizing all these things, this is again with Noble Drew Ali presenting that we have to live by these principles. If we don't live by these principles, we're going to have issues, because the people who have not been living by the principles and are living barbaric, we can't get them back for the stuff that they did. They're going to get their stuff wherever they get it. I don't know where, but they got to get something if they're murdering babies and all that stuff. Something has to be going on in some other realm with these souls doing madness, right? So with having Drew Ali as the reference point that, okay, well, apply these principles when we're talking about applying the principle of peace. It's in all the principles, but to apply the principle of peace with the others is definitely gonna make the transition easier out of the state that we're in, realizing all this stuff. It's like when we say with people who transition, that you look at Noble Drew Ali's lessons on the ministry of death when you're dealing with deaf people. I'll be in there mourning or whatever with them. Like, here's a lesson: death is no enemy of man. Get over it. So and so's in a better place now. It's not that serious. So get out of here, whatever you're in. And 10 out of 10 people that were dealing with that read ministry of death, and then the whole thing changed. Their whole perspective changed on how they're looking at this thing called death now, moving forward. Because of the training that we've gotten, of just like with the food, the training that we've gotten, that we have food groups and all this stuff, and when these people are killing you, right? So when we put all these things together, when we put all these principles together, it allows us to be able to manifest a certain type of lifestyle just by living by these principles. Just these 5 principles, that's it. You know what I mean? So this is in the Prophet has spoken. This is out of the Moorish literature. All governors and grand sheiks and head officials that guide any body of Moors, of any temple of the Moor Science Temple of America, he or she must be of good moral standard and a heart of love, and their works must be of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Their works must be of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Right? This is where the Moors have to be. Islam more. It's popping up. It's popping up. These pop-up Moors. He or she must be of good moral standard and a heart of love, and their works must be of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's a theme throughout everything that he's bringing up these principles. A warning from the Prophet for all governors and grand sheiks and head officials. There is no favorite in any of the temples, for the law is laid down, and everyone who claims to be part of the work must be governed accordingly. All are one. There is but one temple in this nation, and there is but one prophet of the temples. I came to speak to all nations, bringing them the message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. There is but one temple in this nation. There is but one prophet of the temples. I come to speak to all nations, bringing them a message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Came to speak to all nations. The part of it is that majority of people see Noble Drew Ali as a Moorish thing only, so they want nothing to do with it because they see that, well, that's a Moorish thing, is the Moorish prophet or whatever. And the presentation of him like he's a Moorish thing only is why people won't gravitate to it. But if they would look at Noble Drew Ali, how they look at El Hajj, Martin, Kwame Ture, whoever, if they look at him in those veins, like he applies to them, Claude Anderson, if they look at what he brought as well, this isn't just some Moorish thing that he's bringing. He's actually bringing something that could benefit everybody. If they really applied these things, who doesn't want love? Name somebody. Who doesn't want truth? Who doesn't want peace, freedom, justice? Who doesn't want that? And if they don't want that, they're probably not living beings, more than likely. They're probably some lower self people. They're probably some entities took over a body or whatever, because there's a certain vibration that these principles bring, and once it's applied, it's automatic. It's going to be there forever until you say, "Well, I don't want to deal with it." All right. General laws, as said by the Prophet. The heads of all temples are to by force refrain from all wrath, words of profanity in the mildest form from its members. They must live the life of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and refrain from all alcoholic liquors or any other harmful things that will terminate to destroy peace, or any other of the divine principles. They are not to contribute to anything that will cause the public to disagree with him or her. And for one to lead a group of Moors, you must keep your house clean with good deeds, kind words. Your wives, brothers must hear good works, kind words, and must know of your good deeds. If there are children, you must see to their support. Follow this divine principle, for if you don't restrict this divine principle, then you are not a true Moor. And heads are not to charge for membership or to overcharge for buttons, cards, or anything issued by the Prophet. Those who contribute to either of the preceding are not Moors but robbers. So anybody trying anything that's against the principles, just the principles only. We're not even looking at any other literature and nothing else, just the principles. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every Moor that you engage should be basing everything they're doing on those principles. When they deal with you, if you're sitting back watching them deal with somebody else, whatever it is, once the principles are in line, then you're good to go. Like when we were talking about with how to gauge which Moors or whatever the case is. As soon as you hear, price tags and stuff like that, but crazy. Right, yeah, Cash Apps and PayPals, and as soon as it starts, like those are the first things that's presented. These people are up to something. If they're saying the new one was the one with, they say they have 2 million, give them 300, and then they give you the 2 million.
Take it out of the check, man.
Just take
it out of the check.
No, we can't do it because it's in your name and all this. So, all right.
I gave you permission.
I gave you permission. Right? And so again, it's we're using the irony. Theophilus Nicholson, to show you when you don't have peace, what you have, what you get, right? And the importance of Moors invoking this principle of peace, because it seems like people don't really want it like that, right? They rather be in war, right? Now, depending on who you're talking about, war is big business. So we could see why they want to go towards war. But the average individual, there shouldn't be any beef with anybody. There should be no issues, really. You know what I mean? But when you check, when we go into the other thing with regard to the laws of peace, it'll be more personal. The importance of peace being where we're at in our mindset, so that we could avoid certain things. Irony again, chapter 6, a pariah. To arrive at a contradiction is to confess an error in one's thinking. To maintain a contradiction is to abdicate one's mind and to evict oneself from the realm of reality. Ayn Rand. Before I began my research on Haiti, I was inclined to believe everything negative told to me about that nation. Anything I read in the newspaper columns or the coming over to airwaves via television or radio. I viewed the Haitians as maligners and the society culturally regressive, a people who for centuries seemed to lack the capacity to move their country forward in tandem with European society since their birth as an independent republic in 1804. After I completed my research, I had to disabuse myself from the grip of my ignorance. To understand Haiti's demise, I had to journey back to Spain before the Moors arrived, view the period of the Moorish Caliphate, then comprehend what these Africans had accomplished in Spain. After I had done this, I understood better what James Burke meant when he wrote, "The intellectual community which the northern scholars found in Spain was so far superior to what they had at home that it left a lasting jealousy of Arab culture, which was to color Western opinions for centuries. And it is still being done today. The Berbers had managed Spain well. Knowledgeable Europeans were not about to let this happen in Haiti. Other cultures, non-European, were to be brought underfoot. Caliphate became a word used with derision and meant to instill fear." So to understand what happened to Haiti, he had to go check the history of the Moors to see what happened there. In Ramney Clark's writing on Haiti's agonies and exaltations, he noted the following: "The history of Haiti will break your heart. Knowing it, the weak will despair, but the caring will strive to break the chains of tragedy. When Columbus landed on the island in December 1492, he found a native Arawak or Taino population of 3 million people or more, well fed, with cultivated fields, lots of children, living in peace. It had by far the largest population of any island in the Caribbean. 22 years later, there were fewer than 27,000 who had not fallen victim to the sword, the ravages of forced labor, and diseases heretofore unknown to them. The Spaniards called the island La Espanola, which in use became Hispaniola. This is what progress means for any native population in a foreign land. Look at 21st century Iraq and Syria. The native people called the island Haiti, a word that 300 years after the Europeans arrived would strike fear throughout the empires of the hemisphere. This fear engulfed these empires built on slave labor and societies that accepted its practice, but brought hope to slaves that they heard in Haiti's liberation. These European empires had reason to fear Haiti. They had done such injustice to these people and perpetrated such atrocities against them that they knew that if the tide ever turned against them, they would be in great danger themselves. The soil of Haiti was already soiled by human blood. 18th century Haiti would become a thorn in the side of European nations once independence was achieved. The name Haiti brought hope to the slaves, and it became a haven for runaway slaves who yearned for freedom. I'm going back again to that liberation theme of, the Moors getting conquered and the Moors becoming and the Moors finding out about who they are again, and then revolting and rebelling, and then they take over, and then they rule, and then they put somebody in slavery, and then they fall, and then the stuff goes all over again because they don't want to live by the principles. They want to do everything else except live by the principles so that we're not caught up in that cycle of the reoccurring theme with our people. As soon as they rise, they're about to fall. As soon as they got some pyramids and all that and capstones and whatever, don't worry. Just give them a little bit more time. They're about to sell their own out and lose everything that they have. But don't worry, they're gonna get it back. And then when they get it back, stuff's gonna happen again. Just check the history books and they tell you, right? When we're talking about 1920s with Noble Drew Ali and him establishing what he established, at that time it was lockdown. The Moors were back in power again, right? UNIA was about to get on board because Garvey would have brought all of them. Once he got out of prison or whatever like that, came back, all of them people would have went to go be with Noble Drew Ali, guaranteed. So there would be no NOI or anything like that, right? NAACP and all of them would be recognized as the threat to the establishment of what it is our people supposed to have, because remember that 1800s is when they had their opportunity with the Freedmen's Bureau, and they lost that because they wanted to play slave games and not realizing what was being given to them, right? They thought and then realizing that, oh, well, if we give them 40 acres and a mule, then they could claim the rest. So forget giving them anything, and let's keep the myth going, right? Even though by mid 1900s going into, they already knew what was going to happen with Noble Drew Ali. They already knew what was going to take place because of, you have the Harlem Renaissance and all that, with the same thing. People coming back into consciousness, knowing about themselves, knowing who they are, and actually wanting to do something with it. Not just it be some reference point that we're going to make, but actually living this way of life. All right. So when I was doing the other lecture, the peace lecture, this was one of the books that didn't make it, didn't arrive yet. This is 44 Laws of Peace. Now, there's no author or whatever like that. You could look it up on Amazon. It's just called The Talking Book. The Talking Book, 44 Laws of Peace. And some of these we'll go through some of these and just get more thoughts on some of these. Law 1, be present. The present moment is where life takes place. The past cannot be changed, and the future is not guaranteed. It is a mere fragment of time in which we really live, and it's this fraction of time that any of us stand to lose. Every time you distract yourself with anxious thoughts of the past or future, you give up the present. This would be forgivable if you had power over the past or the future, but you don't. Regardless of how much you cry, the only moment of time you have any control over is right now. Work to understand this, and you will be more careful with how you spend your time. Don't be like those that give up the present to anxiously rehearse social situations that may never take place. Don't spend your time berating yourself over a past mistake, and don't get carried away longing for pleasant moments that are no more. For how can you make any new ones if your head is stuck in the past? Many are not aware that there is another way to live. They think these anxieties are as part of them as the fingers on their hand. So instead of looking for a solution, they look for a distraction, never spending time in their own company. They go to bed listening to anything but their thoughts, and any moment of downtime is stolen by the consumption of media, anything to distract from the mind. So as long as they can escape their thoughts, know that these distractions offer only momentary relief, but that true peace can be found by living in the present, even when the present is boring. The person who is thinking about nothing but the cleanliness of his teeth when he is brushing his teeth is at peace. He is living completely in the moment. His thoughts are directed toward that which he can control. In his mind is not held captive but by anxious thoughts, which are useless in the moment. The same goes for the man who doesn't let his mind wander when speaking with friends or family, but instead lends his attention to those right in front of him. He is truly living. Appreciate the now, for it becomes the memories you look back on so fondly. Living in the present is an important step in calming the mind. So make the effort to be deeply involved with the current moment, whatever task may be at hand. When you catch yourself drifting from the present, obsessing in thought over the past or future, bring yourself back to what's in front of you. This will be difficult, but it will become easier the more you practice. The entire future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. That was law 1. Any thoughts or comments on living in the present? Let's see what these chat Moors are saying in here. All right, so that was straight. Lesson 2, or law 2. Actually, law 3. Listen to listen. If you want to create a better relationship with people, the most important thing you can learn to do is how to listen. Most of us don't do it enough, or have a warped idea of what defines healthy listening. Healthy listening is not dependent on your ability to respond with a comment related to the conversation or to bring up a similar situation you've experienced in hopes of relating to the person. There is a time and place for creating such connections, but hold off on it for now. The true goal should be listening for the sake of listening, not to test your ability to create responses that fit the conversation, which can snowball into a person who listens for the sake of responding, who hasn't been guilty of this. You want the other person to know that you're interested in what they have to say, and so you latch on to the first portion of the conversation that you feel you have something to say about and neglect the rest as you wait for your chance to prove yourself. Even worse than this, there are many who enjoy hearing the sound of their own voice and will use any opportunity to take over the conversation. Don't be that person. Remember, genuine responses come from genuinely listening. Law 8. Discipline is the key to freedom. You would be unstoppable if, in the face of temptation, laziness, and impulse, you held true to the path you set for yourself when you were free from such distractions. The only thing keeping you from becoming that person, a person you can be proud of, is discipline. Work to strengthen your will. Work towards keeping your promises to yourself. At the very least, work toward recognizing when you break promises to yourself and others. The world is yours for the taking, but how can you expect to achieve anything of worth if you can't even conquer yourself? Law 10. Meditate. Don't neglect the mind. We are quick to go on a diet after eating poorly or to work out when we notice a change in our physical ability. But how many treat the mind with the same care? Just as stretching ensures a better state of being for the body's overall health, meditating provides similar benefits to the mind. Anxiety, anger, frustration, depression, and every other mental state of being, including the unending chattering of thoughts, can be made quiet through meditation. Put that one again for all the anxiety people out there. Anxiety, anger, frustration, depression, and every other mental state of being, including the unending chattering of thoughts, can be made quiet through meditation. Most people are unaware of this and instead attempt to distract their mind with the consumption of media. However, distracting your mind with a flood of stimuli will not improve your mental state. Just as turning up the radio to mask the sound of a car failing engine does nothing to fix the problem. The car will run poorly and the engine will eventually fail whether or not the music is playing. Starting today, dedicate a portion of your daily routine to meditation, specifically mindful meditation, a practice of purposely bringing one's attention to the present moment without evaluation. Start with 5 minutes a day and work up longer periods of time when you feel comfortable. Like working out, it is critical that you are consistent with the practice if you wish to experience noticeable results. There is a plethora of information on mindful meditation that you can find. Find a quiet spot. Sit down in a comfortable position. Do not be slouched. Keep your eyes open and directed just above the tip of your nose. Allow them to lose focus. Breathe naturally and focus on your breath. Take time to notice the sensation in your lungs as they fill and release air. Notice the sound of your surroundings, letting them come in and out of focus without evaluating them. Do the same with any physical sensations you feel. When a thought comes, don't indulge in it or evaluate. Acknowledge it and let it pass. This practice will significantly calm your mind. Those intrusive thoughts of past, future, or made-up worries will no longer control your thoughts. Instead of drifting off on an exhaustive string of anxious internal ramblings, you will be able to silence the thoughts almost as soon as they appear. This does not mean you ignore your thoughts. Any recurring thought should be analyzed and dealt with. But once a decision about the thought has been made, one based on reason, it's time to trust yourself and let it go. And a lot of the imbalance that we have is from not letting it go, from holding on to things that we should be giving up. Because once you start, even with meditation, like they say, you start at 5 minutes, eventually you're at an hour, and you don't even know you're at an hour. Because the mind focus does wonders. And then if you throw in because one of the brothers I know, Brother Morgan, does meditation with binary beats and certain frequencies, so that his meditation is about unifying the two hemispheres of the brain so that your thoughts will be a lot more controlled, right? So even with that, as short as 5 minutes a day, that you get to whatever is comfortable to you, and you would notice yourself being able to make decisions faster, not over analyzing. Should I do this? Should you make the decision and keep it moving? Again, dealing with the idea of the only way that you're gonna find complete peace is in the moment. You're not gonna see some peace down there because you could walk out this door, fall down the stairs, mess your whole piece up that you thought you were gonna get in 10 minutes, right? So dealing with it in the present and recognizing that there's ways, like they say, there's, you know, with meditation, or, you know, even take off the whatever and listen to rainfall, listen to nature sounds or something, you know. Matter of fact, do it real and go in nature. Forget listening to some whatever. How about go actually in nature, listen to some birds or whatever. Any thoughts on the meditating or discipline being the key? That is good. Law 11. Don't give people permission to hurt you. No one can hurt you without your permission. Words alone are not enough for you to feel insulted, no matter the intention of the offender. For you to feel insulted, you must believe that you have been insulted. Find a rock and insult it. And what have you accomplished? If someone responds to insult like a rock, what has the abuser gained? However, if the abuser has his victim's weakness to exploit, then his efforts are worth his while. This is why it is important to place value on what no one else but yourself can control. If someone succeeds in offending you, know that you have given them the power to do so. Let's say someone says your shirt is ugly. It can be easy to become embarrassed at a comment like that. But why? Are you wearing the shirt for this person or for yourself? What does it matter what they think about a shirt you are wearing? Who is the person to you that your opinion should define your wardrobe, that their opinion should define your wardrobe and how you feel about it? Let's say someone calls you fat. Well, what are you? If you are what you are offended by, something's wrong with that. If you're not, why are you offended over something that's obviously false? If the person's intent is to hurt you, why are you hanging out with them? If the person is a stranger, why do you care about what someone says about you? You meet a shitload of people in your lifetime, and most will be a different opinion about you, good and bad. You cannot control one person's opinion, let alone everyone's. How tiresome it is to be concerned with how others see you. Just be concerned with how you see you. Law 12. Live in line with nature. If you shape your life according to nature, you will never be poor. If according to people's opinions, you will never be rich. You see, natural desires are limited, but those which spring from false opinions have nowhere to stop. So eat until you are full. Find good quality clothes to protect your body, and find a safe and comfortable spot to rest your head and call your home. But be careful not to go beyond the needs that nature has set. A roof made of wood and shingles protects one from the elements just as well as a roof made of gold. The difference is that the man who builds a roof to keep dry is satisfying when his roof works as intended, whereas the man whose needs are based on opinion is not satisfying when his roof does the job of a roof. He needs more for the sake of more, for the sake of extravagance, for the sake of status. There is no limit to his thirst. It is similar in all aspects of this life. He is not satisfied when his shoe does the job of a shoe or when his wife fills the role of a wife. He remains agitated and unfulfilled. Again, going back to being in harmony with nature. Again, the 44 laws of peace. Live in line with nature. So if we're saying we're not Negro, black, colored, we're Moors, and then Moors nationality, then we're in line with nature. And that's anybody who has nationality, they're in line with nature, which is why when we start applying us being Moors, you realize how much of it is really our people that's messed up. It's not people are racist, and it's not that, oh, so-and-so doesn't like us, and it's not that, oh, they, whatever. It has to do with these people are in tune with nature. Our people aren't. And since our people aren't in tune with nature, then only unnatural occurrences is what they're going to have. Unnatural relationships, because it's going to be based in some how they look and whatever, frivolous stuff. It's not going to be based in anything of value. Their relationships with people, whether it's at their work, are going to be messed up, mad all the time. I don't want to go there and all this stuff. When man's supposed to be happy when you're toiling. What are you mad about? Right? Living out of line with nature is going to cause an imbalance for you. Right? Law 16. Be kind. Don't be rude or harsh with people unnecessarily, especially those that you encounter in passing. Everyone is someone. That's not just an old woman you're passing at the store. It's someone's grandma. That's not just an old man getting gas at the pump next to you. It's someone's dad. That girl behind the counter at the store is someone's daughter. And that homeless man on the street is someone's son. Treat people with the same patience, respect, and courtesy that you would want others to treat your mom and dad with. If your mom and dad were shit, then pick someone in your life that wasn't and treat others with the respect you would want that person to be treated with. Kindness cultivates a peace of mind. It takes little effort to be kind to others, while the opposite is true with being mad, annoyed, or irritated. The former allows you to go about your day unhindered, while the latter requires that you entrust your peace of mind to everyone, letting them live rent-free in your head until your emotions subside. Know that being kind does not mean being a pushover. The two have no connection. Right? So, and this is relative also to this thing with Moors and the principles and we got to live a certain way and we can't this and that or whatever like that. But then people try you and people test you and people push your buttons and all that stuff. And it's expected, because you're a Moor, you're not gonna do nothing about it or whatever. So it's not wise to be a pushover because we're some Moors. So you're just gonna let people violate you. Don't let them violate you. Make sure you entrust your peace of mind so that you know that you have that peace of mind. Again, going back to the thing of the moment, meditate is some seconds, some breaths in and out. Immediately you change the frequency of what's going on. Law 19, be grateful. The mind is quickly aware of things that go wrong, but overlooks all that which is going well. As a result, people place more value on things they don't have than on the things they do have, and are more upset when things go wrong than they are appreciative when things go right. Who do you think will have a better day? The person who is upset that it's raining, or the person who is grateful for their umbrella? Actively seek out things you are grateful for: the warmth of the sun, the sight of a friend, a cold breeze on a warm day, or having an umbrella on a rainy day. It sounds simple, but practicing this will change your life. And then let's just check. You have the metaphysical of gratitude right there.
With that joint. Gratitude, right?
Yeah. Gratitude and thanksgiving are both necessary in demonstrating prosperity through divine law. Be grateful to God and thankful to the friends whom he uses to supply you. All metaphysicians have found by experience that being thankful for what they have increases the inflow. Gratitude is a great mind magnet, and when it is expressed from the spiritual standpoint, it is powerfully augmented. The saying of a grace at the table has its origin in this idea of the power of increase through giving thanks. And so all metaphysicians, or more scientists or metaphysicians, have found by experience that being thankful for what they have increases the inflow. Being thankful for what you have, having gratitude, and knowing that all these laws again is for us being able to immediately invoke peace. Some situation going on, be grateful for something. Watch that stuff dissolve just from having gratitude, right? Just from showing love, just from thinking positive, the warmth of the sun. Some BS is going on, stressed out about some crap, and then you get a cool breeze and you acknowledge the breeze as cooling you down, whatever the case like that. Your energy is going to change automatic. But again, like I was saying, as a result, people place more value on things they don't have than on the things they do have, and are more upset when things go wrong than they are appreciative when things go right. So when things go right, we should be acting as if stuff went wrong, right? Because we always put all our energy to the wrong stuff. Somebody calls you with some bad news now. Oh my gosh, you're outside pacing back and forth on the phone. Oh my gosh, how is this? When it's not. Find something good and focus on that, and let the pain and the whatever let that subside, because it will. Right? It has to. Right. Law 20. There will be good times and there will be bad times. The only constant thing in life is change. Nothing lasts forever, be it good times or bad times. Every ripe fruit rots. Every fire dies out. Every joy subsides. And every emotion we hold eventually fades, giving way to new feelings. Don't let yourself be deceived by the gifts of fortune, no matter how great the gift. In fact, be more cautious the more desirable the gift. Enjoy it while you have it, but prepare your mind with the thought that these gifts of fortune can one day and will disappear as suddenly as they arrive. Understand too that when that time comes, you would be foolish to be upset or mad that they are gone, just as you would be foolish to be upset that they were given to you in the first place. The giving and returning of such gifts are out of your control. You should not agonize over such things any more than you should be upset that the sun sets or rises. Such things are a part of nature. Take comfort in this understanding of change. Appreciate the good times, that much more with the knowledge that they will not last forever, and find the same solace in the fact that the bad times too will eventually end. Enjoy the moment, but don't be foolish, and expect that moment to last forever. Don't be even more foolish by becoming anxious that it will end. Accept that such things are out of your control. It does not matter how much you cry, for fortune feels no sympathy. Fortune feels no sympathy. That's like they have this thing right now, this thing at Toronto right now, where somebody didn't collect the $70 million lottery ticket or whatever. Ticket's been floating around for a year, so they're trying to find whoever this individual is before the date expires or whatever. So they're telling people, yeah, search up and down, searching your this, searching the, find the. Yeah. That stuff's gone. Yeah, that's gone. Law 22, confront your anxieties with reason. Don't run from your anxieties, and don't hide from them by distracting your mind with media, drugs, or alcohol. You must realize that it is impossible to escape your anxieties by hiding from them, because it is you who create them. Instead, you must confront them head on. Analyze them with reason, asking, is this thing which twists my stomach and causes me to pull out my hair something that I can control? Or is it something that is outside of my power? And if it's something out of your control, drop it from your list of concerns, for it is pointless to give energy to something which you have no power over. Don't cry that it's raining, grab an umbrella. Don't whine that your nose is running, wipe it. Of course, it's easier said than done. Some of us have anxieties that are born out of a complex history of adversity. They stem from years of mental and even physical abuse. They are created through an upbringing in which we had no say and are strengthened by a mental state created in an effort to protect itself. Confronting these deeper anxieties, which most of us face on some level, will require consistent work. It will require you to look back and analyze past experiences. Question why you carry yourself the way you do, to find lessons in tragedy, to accept that the past is no longer in your control and that you hold no definite sway in the future, or even tomorrow is not guaranteed. The work will be hard, but the solution is always the same. Do not merely distract yourself from your anxieties, confront them with reason. And not confront them with emotions or anything else. Confront them with reason. Because although common sense isn't common, you could use your reason and logic and figure some stuff out still. Huh?
No, I said quick.
Well, this one here is for Law 25. This one's for Moors too, with regard to when you come into this information and then you're trying to put people on and them not hearing what you're saying and going the other way or whatever the case is, dealing with rejection. Law 25. In regard to obtaining something you think will better you or provide you with a more peaceful life, nothing is worse than not trying. Embarrassment, fear of failure, or rejection are poor excuses for not applying for a dream job, starting a new venture, building a new relationship, or making a new friend. Embarrassment and fear are like any other emotion, manageable and temporary. And like most negative emotions, if we can identify their root cause, we can eradicate them. We would do better to face these emotions than attempt to hide from them. The more you face them, the more comfortable you will become with them, and the less power they will have over you. With the right mindset, you can escape embarrassment altogether. So when we evolve in this as the light bearers, you realize that trying to invoke rejection and embarrassment is the only way that these people get back to you with their lack of knowledge selves, right? You get it a lot in people who really don't know who they are but claim they do. They even people with feathers and turbans on that are giving off this idea that they know, and as soon as the challenge from somebody who's competent or whatever comes up, they start resorting to tactics. You're just like we're saying, it's not about being a pushover. It's not about letting people, punk Moors off because we're all about love or whatever, right? There's a standard that we should live by, but don't allow certain things to get taken advantage of, based on those standards. Like there's times where you might have to raise your voice on somebody or whatever. Law 31. Work towards being a friend to yourself. Give yourself the same respect you give others. We are quick to hand out words of encouragement to our friends and family, but feel we are unworthy of the same treatment from ourselves. Learn to be a friend to yourself and learn to love yourself. If you think you are a person unworthy of self-love, then work to be a person who deserves it and love yourself for that. Don't follow blindly. Don't follow blindly someone just because they are praised by others. Do not trust the words of a philosopher because they are well known or come from ancient times. Similarly, do not dislike someone just because they are looked down upon by the masses. In every matter of life, do your own research, then, when possible. Don't just read this book and say, well, these are the laws for a peaceful life. They're in a book, so it must be true. No, hold them under a microscope, test them, prove them, and if you can, improve them. All right, same thing will come into this, that we know what Dirty Moors did, right? We know what they did. So, hold this under a microscope and test it and prove it. And once you have done that, then add on to this to make it better. Whatever it is that you think you could do or have to do. It's as easy as, whatever you're naming something, put something Moorish in there. Let the logo be something Moorish, always be a trendsetter with this, right? Because it's not going to be for everybody, but it's for those who are on the frequency to know, that are ready to come back or be brought back into the marvelous light. Many people don't want the marvelous light.
Scared down, shut up.
Yeah, scared out of them. Law 36. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. For this is the fire where the most rewarding things in life are forged. The true character is formed during uncomfortable times, and some of the most significant opportunities lie at the center of uncomfortable situations. Every great accomplishment requires a person to, at one time or another, be uncomfortable. Olympic athletes have their comfort torn away during training so that they may prepare their bodies for upcoming challenges. Entrepreneurs often give up everything for a chance to pursue a venture only they feel is worthy. Mothers give up comfort to bring children into the world. Fathers put aside their comfort to provide for their families. Every great and worthy thing requires one to let go of some portion of their comfort. Even the man fighting temptation gives up the comfort of his former ways so that he may grow. The true man is revealed in difficult times, Law 39. True character is created in difficult times. When life gets tough and you feel your character start to falter, that is when sticking to your principles matters most. It's easy to be the best version of yourself in good times, just as it is easier to avoid temptations when they are out of reach, but much harder when they are placed before you. Next time life gets tough, see it as a test, an opportunity to prove the quality of your character. We got a few more of these, and then we'll open up the floor for questions and close out so we can chill for a little bit. So he said we're good till 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Law 41, be consistent. The secret to any sustainable success is consistency. Try hard to remember this. It is the key to accomplishing your goals. The person who practices the piano for 10 minutes every day will be better than the person who practices piano sporadically and only when they're feeling up to it. Consistency is an obvious necessity when you're talking about learning to play an instrument, but the need for consistency should be just as apparent in every aspect of your life. Living a good life requires consistency. Living your principles requires consistency. Maintaining a relationship with yourself and others requires consistency. Living in peace requires consistency. Your goals can't be something you work toward. You're only when you're feeling up to it. Your goals can't be something you work toward only when you're feeling up to it. Don't put things off. If you can do it now, do it now. Don't start waiting. Don't start eating better tomorrow. Do it now. Don't start exercising tomorrow. Start today. Don't put off taking out the trash or cleaning your room. Do it now. There is no need or benefit in putting things off. Most of the time, we trick ourselves into believing that we need to wait. Some say they need time to mentally prepare. Others say they need to relax beforehand. And many more will make up some other bullshit excuse. If you have the time to do it now, even if you only have time to finish a portion of the overall task. If you find yourself arguing with yourself to start whatever task is at hand, count to 5, and without thinking, as soon as you say 5, get up and start. Majority of the time, as soon as you start the task, you will wonder why you were so reluctant to start in the first place. Law 44, embrace the grind. Life gets hard. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Know that both the coward and the hero feel the same. Both are scared and nervous. However, the coward lets his nerves get the best of him, whereas the hero embraces and overcomes them. To the end, be the person who embraces the ugly and the miserable. Be the person who embraces hard work and the grind. Don't be afraid of getting hurt or sacrificing some blood. This is your life. Live every moment of it. And be careful with the sacrificing the blood part. Take your time. You call it in some stuff you're dealing with. And Law 44. Don't be afraid to be wrong. If someone can show you your mistake in any thought or action, gladly change. Let your goal be to seek the truth, which you shouldn't let harm you. The harm is to continue in one's own self-deception and ignorance. Several ways for the laws of peace. Reflect on what you are grateful for. Write down your goals for the day. Reflect on how you need to improve today in order to be a person you are proud of. Reflect on your progress of the day. Reflect on mistakes of the day and derive lessons from them. Reflect on the words of this book. Prepare for the day. What difficulties might you encounter? How will you face them? What did I do for the day? Where did I go wrong? Where did I go right? Was there anything I left undone? Answer all provided questions and live in peace. 44 laws of peace.
Wow.
Islam. There's a couple Quran chapters. I want to also open up the floor if anybody has any questions or comments. You could interject with those.
Who was the author?
There's actually no author to it. It's just, it says 44 Laws of Peace, the talking book. Worthwhile ideas.
I found it on what's that name? Amazon.
Amazon? Yeah.
I found it on Amazon.
So it just says the 44 Laws of Peace on it.
Thank you.
Noble Drew Ali's Holy Quran, Divinely Prepared, Chapter 2, verse 19. Teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. Going back to the meditation. Chapter 3, Elihu's Lessons. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. But poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. And so going back again, that if you want to not be in the lower self, then strive for peace. That's the only way out. Chapter 18, verse 40. The soldiers heard a voice from everywhere, yet from everywhere it said, peace, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Chapter 21, marriage instructions from man and wife from the noble prophet. Submission and obedience are the lessons of her life, and peace and happiness are her reward. Chapter 24, the obedience of children toward their father. So shall their hoary heads do down to the grave in peace, and thine own children in reverence of thy example shall repay thy piety with filial love. Chapter 25. Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. 27. He sitteth down to his morsel in peace. His table is not crowded with flatterers and devourers. Them people at your table. Chapter 31. Holy instruction from the prophet, justice. The peace of society dependeth on justice, the happiness of individuals on the safe enjoyment of all their possessions. On and on in the Quran, and it's all in there. End of time and fulfilling of the prophecies, that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam was. We'll just open the floor if anybody has any questions or final comments before we close out. I know you're waiting for the end.
Yeah. Right. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna do one of my slogans before I join Swords. Right, guys?
All right.
It's called Swords. Bear with me. The ears of the unlearned struggle to find the answer, because the seeds that are sown fall amongst the pebbles of doubt, and not the fertile soil of reason. So treason is birthed in the flesh of the weak and pursued with the master's name of winning season. Never focused on the frailty of mind, reduced to only being believers. Before you tune out, tune in. Vibrancy, frequency. Believe my peeps ain't bad. I believe too, just in me. Because I am the attributes of any deity. I am the word made manifest as sure as I breathe. I am the spirit within me. Oh, my brother, my sister, this ain't that too deep. Can't sleep, make you weep type spill. This is that tea that you should have been told to drink from your top cap to your foothills. From infancy to childhood and adolescence, your essence has been robbed of you. But if those truths have been told, the foundations of your existence will be as sure as concrete. As sure as I speak up, I press towards the marks, the high peaks. Now, barring an earthquake, those things that come to shake up. Breakups to makeups, wake up. John, your birthplace, now your displaced made to think that you are saint elsewhere. But you are original earth being, copper tone to deep mahogany. Do you know your birthstone? Birthrights, that you are the chief cornerstone? On each hemisphere, west to east, south to north, so whom should you fear? So what's your mind like? Too busy acting simple, not focused on the simple, basic scientific fundamental truths that got minds locked down simple. City. In the city, violence being titled and nicknamed after things like Beirut and Iraq. But you're not the real Chirac. The truth about your autochthonous roots, they hide that and tie back your mind to a false reality. Hijack your identity, made you Negroes, colors, blacks. Now, how was that? Your elders became so lax? Acceptance of an out of Africa theory and going back. But wait, there's more. Let's track the root of the root, where the proof produced a noble people is you. Yes, you. The ancestors of antiquity, heirs apparent, you haven't been told. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. To drop bombs on the Albion, Freemasonry secret societies. Wow, the majority of the people, though frequency, boiling in fallacies. Gold and silver, lawful money. Give me my talents, truth, all, and keep the feces. Onwards and up, my people love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equity, symbols of equality. Honor to the elders, good, bad, or indifferent. Islam.
Islam. Yes. Islam Moors, any other comments? Closing remarks. One thing we'll say is honors to you for being here, and make sure you make your connections, especially if you're in this territory or near this territory. because that's part of the outcome of the tour is to build these networks where we stop at, you know what I mean? So like there's more that were at other networks that made themselves here. So, you know, it's a traveling circus, you know. We got backflips. Mother Khalifa, you want to talk about what you have in the back?
Oh, just some t-shirts, and I found a Black Law dictionary, so.
Uh-oh.
I just found one.
Hard copy.
The pattering feet.
No.
And also too, we have I got some of my stuff up here. We have the new one right now going around. The Pictographic Chronicle of the Moorish Turban with myself and Sister Taida of KhalifaMedia.com. Cover your head. So we have a few copies of that here, but you can get it at KhalifaMedia.com.
There's also going to be food in the back for anyone who wants to put a little something on your stomach. You're more than welcome. I know some of y'all might be vegan, so there's rice and peas and cabbage. There's some curry chicken as well, and something else. But yeah, water as well if you're thirsty. There's some books on the table back there. And yeah, you know, this is what it is, Jack.
Yeah.
Islam.
It's love.
It's so good to see everybody up in here. All the
Islam.
And we also have some products as well.
Definitely, yeah. Put it up there. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Any other any plugs? Feel free, put it out now.
I would just say, speaking on like the gratitude piece.
Yeah.
You said like the word appreciate, that deals with things gaining in value. So like when you appreciate things, you're building them up.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Facts. Yeah. Any other comments, questions? Islam Moors give thanks again. We'll just close out and we have until 5, so we have an hour still to just vibe a little bit. Peace, Moors, give thanks. Let's close out.
Prayer too.
Okay.
Yeah, we just close out and yeah. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through Holy Prophet, Noble Juali. Islam, Moors, Ashe. Islam trap Moors.
I had to get that on utilities. We had the flash
drive. So what I can do is make sure.
Yo, what's a good word?
Bro, do we have like a pen and paper to like write down?
For the video?
Yeah.
No, those are not.
Let me see if I can find, because I'll do that. I'll get a list going, and you can leave your.
Let's Hey, Islam Moors.
Copy of it.
We win.
Whatever it is you want.
I would have been sitting on the same string and drive down for real.
I mean, I want to double check the water.
Straight up. How was the travel?
Yeah, like an hour.
Okay,
It's just what to do from where I'm at.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of retirement, that kind of sort of, you know, get a crib, you know, have a place, but then I'm not trying to
because the ducks.
Yeah. Looking to homestead.
That's
You know, average possession, You know, because of where I'm at in financial services,
now, so
I'm seeing how the mortgage, MLS is just the mortgage list. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the financial instruments that they, I don't know if you ever seen somebody connect to you today. He talks about the financing.
I'm familiar with 2 hours
Yeah,
of
over
service
stuff him and where I'm at. I'm saying I'm starting to put things together, but again, yeah, that's I'm not trying to put any money in. Oh, for real, I'm saying,
Okay.
there's nice place out here. I'm walking around here, walking up around here, you know what I'm saying? But again, I'm just trying to make an knowledge.
Are you leaving? You leaving? No. Okay.
Actually, he had
The t-shirt.
yeah, he's with
Those it will be the sister sitting on the couch.
sneakers, man.
What's good, Corinne?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
You know what? I'm not the
Third eye, make sure
when you
that
say Levites, first thing
sisters that be on there, she always
how the levies,
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right.
Levy's breaking.
That's
Did.
right.
Okay.
So they break. We have
I got a roll.
strong.
If anything,
That was deep what you read.
No doubt. How much for this?
So I didn't get everything. Yeah, I didn't get the word on that.
Yeah.
Leviathan and things like that. The words got meaning. I hear you talking about the words and they give the meaning.
I was definitely gonna make that
That gets you on the wrong path.
Right. Because it's all about vibration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Really
You
dope.
do any performance?
Nah, not yet, man. But you know, slowly but surely. You know, you get caught up in, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Corporate life and all of that. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so so everything is, I'm working on getting myself out of that so I can really focus on
One of the poetry slams and nothing down there?
Not yet, man. But yeah, it's coming.
Because you know the funny thing is next week, I mean, is in New York, it's called Brick. It's a little organization in Brooklyn and they do poetry slam on a regular. And then it's about some competitions and things like that. And they go around like different cities and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you, bro. Go ahead.
So no, I was just like, I figured with what you had and you already got a book published, you might, that's a performance and that's what it is.
All right, I sent you.
That was you, right?
Yeah,
God, thank you. I saw that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's peace. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a new time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all. That's all.
That's all you got. It's all good.
I see you
All right, for sure. Hey, peace, Lord. Hey, hold on, Lord. All right, fine, man.
It's like
Maryland.
So, you know, I've
been
been
on the internet. We don't know where everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been up since like 3. So bus and everything.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't. I hadn't got here. I thought I'd be able to get on the train. But with the W14 don't work right now. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I just got to move it over here.
you was texting me earlier.
Yeah, that's a good one. You straight on no word.
So do you got the flyer for this joint?
Yeah, I got it.
We ain't dealing with
Yeah, plus the neighborhoods, I know.
Your appellation, your name.
No, I haven't.
Because it's like, no, I'm saying.
Keep in contact and keep in stay.
Postcard.
All right.
Don't try to draw attention to yourself.
And what's your
Yeah, I
appellation?
mean,
Think of what it is.
people being nosy.
Yeah.
That shit was sin somehow.
But they don't.
That's right. I ain't Shalene Day, bro. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Glad to hear it.
We need more soldiers.
It means peace.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
I tell you.
You make sure you're on the right side.
All right, peace, man. All right, count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You want another one?
Yeah, how's it going?
Well, I'm not the greatest cameraman. I'm getting full length now. Then we're gonna throw it to the side.
All right.
And
Yeah, I don't have. You see, he's using iPhone. I got Android. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. So when you were talking about the children, it came to me with chapter 23. We need to teach. And, instead of always thinking we're going to get a brick and mortar, we need to teach at home first. And then we want, yeah. Because it's our responsibility.
Exactly, big time.
All right, man. Thanks for supporting.
Thanks for supporting me. Appreciate you coming through.
I am there. It is, all right. Yes, brother.
Yes, indeed.
Always. You got work to do out here, man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Big work.
I was looking, it's some of me. Grand sheep.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
You don't have it?
No. Yeah, you gotta get that one on the site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Long as it ain't been discontinued, I'm good.
Peace and love, Morris. Yeah, we're winning. You already know we're winning. It's love, Morris. Uninstall the Morris worldwide.
Third Monday.
oh, that's okay. Everything's not every day. You know what was the problem?
Yeah. That's what they do, right? But see, the information. So they, this is yeah.
You know what? I'm not even concerned about that.
No, let's get you on this. Where y'all at? Everybody's got this. Where y'all at?
Our retribution right now.
I know, right? It's like 2-3 hours away. But I mean, that's how
Yo. Islam, Moors,
We made it happen. We made it happen.
peace.
We made it happen.
What's good?
We're out here. Peace, Morris. We're out here. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? It's love. What's good? Yeah, right? It's good. Yes. It's love, Morris. No, we do. No, we doesn't.
It's there, you know it's there.
Yeah, sort of, kind of like the same spot.
What's that face you're making?
About to get your ass out here.
Islam Moors.
Islam, Morris. Hey, Sheldon, where you at?
Where's Sheldon at? Is he in the chat? Big Mad. Are you Big Mad,
Sheldon,
Sheldon?
where you at, bro? Islam, Morris.
Islam Moors.
It's like it's a 7-Eleven.
Peace and love, Morris. Good thanks. You already know.
You be on the live, man. How, I gotta sign my media.
You gotta put your cash app on.
I'm about to put it up for him to buy the shirt. And I was like, oh, they have a scan thing. I was like, oh yeah, dude, what's this little scan thing? I'm going, yeah.